A jury has now reached a verdict, we're told, in the trial of Otis McKane. They have just been brought back into the courtroom.
Let's go to the courtroom quickly so we can hear what that verdict is.
If capital murder is charged in the indictment, does either side wish to poll the jury?
No, Your Honor.
The verdict was just read in this
Yes.
courtroom of guilty. Let's listen to the process right now.
Did all 14 jurors deliberate?
It was a very short deliberation, 25 minutes. They've turned off the mic in the courtroom because the two sides are talking to the judge at the bench. A very short deliberation, just 25 minutes. But again, it was a very short defense put on by Otis McKane's defense team. Just one witness called.
In less than 1 day.
All right, members of the
Let's listen to
members
Judge
of the jury, I
Weinhauer.
find that your verdict is unanimous, and I accept your verdict. That concludes the guilt-innocence portion of this jury trial. Now we go to the second phase, or the punishment phase. That second phase will start tomorrow. Be back tomorrow, no later than 1:30, and we will begin the punishment phase. As before, we're going to try to resolve a lot of other matters unrelated to this case in this court until then. All right? I'm going to put you back into the instructions that I gave you. Now that you've completed your deliberations, you're not allowed to communicate with anybody about this case or do any kind of independent investigation. See you tomorrow, no later than 1:30.
All right for the jury.
All right, so you just heard the judge there say that the penalty portion will begin tomorrow. And of course, this is a capital murder case, so the death penalty is on the table as a possible punishment for Otis McKane.
And that will likely be the next thing that the jury will deliberate on. And you heard the punishment phase will begin tomorrow. Again, a unanimous verdict of guilty against Otis McKane in the shooting death of SAPD Detective Benjamin Marconi. That verdict handed down just seconds ago. Again, it was a very, very short deliberation by this jury, just 25 minutes were they behind the doors. They had to elect a foreman. They had to deliberate. There were a lot of procedural things that they had to do. And right now we're taking a live picture. You can see the reaction from Otis McKane sitting at the defense team table with his head in his hands. Other than crying when he was giving when he was watching the videotape of his interrogation by police detectives, we really saw no emotion for McKane for much of this trial. Oh, this is a live picture right there. You see McKane with an elbow to the bailiff. Again, this is a live picture that you are watching right now. McKane elbowing the bailiff, and officers are moving in on him as he was being escorted from the courtroom.
And of course, Steve, you talked about very little emotion from McKane these past 11, 12 days. Certainly things coming to a real climactic point here as, again, the jury found him guilty and the charge of capital murder for the shooting death of SAPD Detective Benjamin Marconi. We saw him break down in tears, but up to this point, we have not seen any anger from him. But that is certainly the case as he takes a swing there, throws that elbow at the bailiff. Several officers there rushing into that door to try to calm him down, try to restrain him, of course. It looks like from this view, he may be there on the ground as we speak.
Yeah, I imagine that they are right now to have him behind that door. You see they closed the door right now, which leads me to believe that they do have him under control. But what you saw just moments ago in a live feed that we have from the courtroom, McKane with his hands on his head several times, leaning back, and then he was to be escorted out of the courtroom, and you saw him throw an elbow at the bailiff that was trying to escort him out, hitting that bailiff, and then you saw just a throng of security, Bexar County deputies there, pounce on McKane, and he is being held behind that door right there, which is kind of a holding area that they have for inmates there. I remember Paul Venema doing a story on exactly the cells that they have there for this sort of thing.
And emotion really a central point in this case, both, of course, for the defense and the prosecution. We heard in some of the videotaped interrogations of Otis McKane, he was talking about how he wanted police officers to feel the pain that he felt all over what he said was a custody issue, not being allowed to see his own child, and that leading up to the shooting death of SAPD Detective Benjamin Marconi. We have not heard or seen at this point from the family of Marconi. His friends, his relatives, you know, they were there when that verdict was read. I imagine they are now gathering outside the courtroom, potentially with any other representatives of the prosecution's case.
What I'm curious about with the outburst that we just saw from McKane, where he threw the elbow and went after the bailiff as he was trying to be escorted from the courtroom, and our Erica Hernandez is there. Photojournalist Sal Salazar is there. I'm guessing the jury was not in the courtroom when that happened. I'm guessing the jury left and then they escorted him out. But I really think if you're the defense right now, you're hoping the jury didn't see what just happened.
Because, of course, as you heard, the judge there at the top of this coverage here said they will be back tomorrow to begin this penalty phase and deciding the punishment for Otis McKane. So, Steve, yes, to your point, I would imagine that would leave an impact if the jury did see that, and they know they're going to be back in less than a day to decide what now happens to Otis McKane.
It's the top of the hour, and this is normally when we start our 6 o'clock news. But if you were watching the breaking news that we had, Otis McKane found guilty of capital murder in the case of the killing of San Antonio Police Detective Benjamin Marconi. Our Erica Hernandez has been covering this all day. Erica, we were just commenting on how we have not seen any emotion really from McKane, except for that one time when he was watching his interrogation and he was talking about his son. We saw him tear up then. We saw it just a little bit after this verdict, and certainly as he was being escorted from the courtroom. What is it like right now at the courthouse?
It was very chaotic the last few minutes. Now, we kind of noticed one of our photographers, Sal, who was inside shooting this live, on him unbuttoning his shirt after the jury was escorting on, almost getting ready to, and then moments later, he elbowed one of the bailiffs. All the bailiffs then went after him. There was about 5 of them in the courtroom at the time. They all rushed to the doorway where he's ushered in and out. And I heard one of them yell taser, so I'm not sure if they tased him or not because you couldn't see from the vantage point that we were in. But yeah, this is the first time we've seen any kind of reaction other than that day you mentioned, Steve, of him crying after seeing and hearing himself talk about not being able to see his son. So yes, there is a lot of emotion. There's a lot of chaotic moments going on right now. I walked out as soon as that incident happened to go live with you guys, so I'm not exactly sure what we're seeing right now inside the courtroom, if there's still anything going on.
It is calm inside the courtroom, Erica, just to let you know. They shut the door where they have the holding cells there, so that made me think, okay, they have him under control, they have him in a cell, and both the defense and the prosecution are talking to Judge Ron Hell right now.
But almost, Erica, as you mentioned, I don't believe that we could tell from the view we were seeing, perhaps some of the defense team standing in the way there, him unbuttoning his shirt, as it sounds like the jury was being escorted out, so perhaps they didn't all see what we just saw, but it looks like it could, be interpreted as him loosening up to get ready to take some action here. How about the family of the detective or relatives? Have you seen any reaction from them up to this point?
Well, when the verdict was read, you could kind of hear a sigh of relief from them that it was a guilty verdict for the capital murder. Now, the jury was in there for about 25 minutes of deliberations. We just were up at 5 when they were just on there. And literally, as I walked off the 5, I had a text message that we have a verdict. So it was all very quick. This all happened really suddenly. The family was just getting up to walk out of the courtroom when McKane lunged at one of the bailiffs. As we can say, we don't know exactly. We think he elbowed him, but he was unbuttoning his shirt and taking it out of his pants as he was getting ready. Now, he wasn't handcuffed at the time. I think his legs were shackled, but not his hands. So he was able to at least get one good elbow into one of the bailiffs.
Yeah, I think that's what we were seeing, is they were reaching down to handcuff him before they took him out of the courtroom. Let's show that video again that we have from just moments ago. This is Otis McKane after, I believe, the jury has left and he's getting ready. There you see the elbow he throws at that bailiff, and a bailiff behind him just tackles him to the ground. And then you see a number of security. There you saw it again. It looked as if he did connect with that bailiff. And you saw Erica talking about him untucking his pants, unbuttoning his shirt. It certainly seems as if this was something that he was premeditated in doing. And you can see the number of police, Bexar County detention officers that were there, and deputies doing a swift job of taking Otis McKane down. Were you surprised at all, I mean, in how short this deliberation was, Erica?
You know, Steve, not at all, because we saw the evidence that the state presented within 2 weeks. There was 55 witnesses they put on the stand. There was a video confession. There was video of his vehicle that was, pointed out by the rent-a-tire people who sold it to him. Like, it was. There was just so much mounting evidence against him. It was a case the defense had a hard time defending, only bringing up one witness this morning, which was Detective Mark Duke, who was the lead investigator on this case, to try to prove that Benjamin Marconi was on his phone and using personal text messages. And it wasn't so much that they were trying to get a not guilty verdict. It was trying to get that capital murder reduced to just a murder charge, Steve.
We're going to take some more. We're going to go back to the live stream as we continue talking here, Erica, and kind of show you what is happening there, because I understand some of those bailiffs have re-entered the courtroom as the conference continues between the judge and some of those. There's the bailiff.
This looks like the bailiff who was elbowed as McKane was standing up from the defense table. You wonder if they're looking at any video of what just happened, or going over any sort of protocol that they have to when something like this takes place in the courtroom. Of course, good to see that he looks like he's doing fine. He's standing up, talking to his colleagues there in the courtroom. But this something, Steve, you asked earlier about whether the jury saw this. So, Erica, it sounds like they didn't witness what happened here.
No, had already been out. The judge had already gave him instructions on what tomorrow was going to be, which is starting the punishment phase at 1:30. He thanked them for their time. They were walking out. I don't know if they were all completely out the door yet when this incident happened. Everybody was standing at the time, so it was hard to see from my vantage point. But yes, the majority of the jury was at least out the door when this incident happened, Myra.
I'm glad to see that bailiff seems to be doing well, that sheriff's deputy seems to be doing well. You saw maybe a red mark on kind of the right side of his face. That is the most that I could see that there was any indication. Obviously, he worked up some perspiration because of the struggle that ensued after that. You
can see him rubbing his face there. He's composed at this point, but certainly I imagine that had to be a difficult incident, and one that he almost seems to be shaking his head there, kind of in disbelief that this happened. And so what comes next, Erica? We know that in the courtroom at this moment, we're looking at that bailiff who took the elbow to the face from Otis McKane, as we now have seen several times on video. It looks like there are still some spectators. They're watching the proceedings. So what are the next steps that are playing out right now?
So there's probably just discussion on what tomorrow is going to look like. If punishment phase begins at 1:30, I guarantee that McKane will not be coming out without handcuffs tomorrow. I'm sure he will be shackled if he's going to be there sitting at that table on the defense side as we begin the punishment phase. Again, that starts at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon. We will have it live on KSAT.com, where you can stream it, as well as we'll have all the latest on 5 and 6 tomorrow afternoon.
So again, Otis McKane being found guilty unanimously by the jury in just 25 minutes of deliberation. This is a capital murder trial for the shooting death of SAPD Detective Benjamin Marconi. That punishment phase begins tomorrow. The jury could decide on the death penalty because it is a capital murder case.
Yeah, and as he was being escorted from the courtroom, throwing an elbow at one of the bailiffs, one of the Bexar County Sheriff's deputies that were trying to escort him, put on the handcuffs and escort him. As Erica said, he has shackles on his legs. He is not handcuffed. That's normal with the defendants in these type of cases. They were putting the handcuffs on, taking him to a holding cell, and then he struck out at one of the deputies there. That deputy seems to be fine, and we are assuming that Otis McKane is in a cell. It looked like they train for these things, and it certainly looked like the deputies and bailiffs in that courtroom did not hesitate to jump in and take control of the situation.
It was immediate response. We have now seen the video several times. I know that we'll be sharing that on our website as well as our later newscasts at KSAT.com, so you can see for yourself just how this came to such an emotional and abrupt and unexpected end after that jury read the guilty verdict against Otis McKane.
We still have a crew there. There you see, there's the video again of McKane with the right elbow to the face of the bailiff, and then you see a number of deputies and bailiffs run in and take control of the situation. Erica Hernandez talking about the fact he unbuttoned his shirt, untucked it right before this happened, and you can see some of his attorneys sitting at that same table, I'm sure in disbelief about what they're watching.
And of course, I imagine we're going to hear more about this specific moment in the courtroom, as well as what happens tomorrow when that penalty phase of this trial begins. Again, a guilty verdict against Otis McKane. Our Erica Hernandez will continue to cover it.